Okay, let's have at it. I wanted to address this universal truth already for quite some time, and I feel the universe is really working with me because there hasn't been a time where both opposites, both dualities haven't been more potent to integrate right now. So, the alchemical marriage is something that has been talked about quite a lot in the spiritual community, but the depth in which it has been understood really differs big time. And I want to really, really go in depth about what this truth is, how it is supposed to be received. A lot of people understand the alchemical marriage as a metaphor and instead of a constant, a universal truth. And the whole universe has been talking about this alchemical marriage in different stories, in different ways, but it all comes down to the same truth, and that is integrating the opposites into our own vessel, integrating the divine masculine, integrating divine feminine into our own vessel. So many stories are being written, talked, shared about this. I will just share some of it. Isis and Osiris, the Egyptian story. We have Shakti and Shiva. I talk a lot about Shakti and Shiva. Some people ask me, are you a follower of Hinduism? I also talk about Jung, for instance. He's also talking about the individuation theory. He's also talking about integrating the conscious with the unconscious to become a whole human being inside of ourselves. We also have the alchemical framework. It's talking about the red king and the white queen. And the heroes Gamos, Zeus in English, and Hera. That is also a story about unification. So to answer your questions, whether I'm a follower of Hinduism, I'm a follower of universal truth. Like, that's why my guru and my great love is with Ananda Mahima. She understood it like no one else. As a child, she already used to start meditating and repeating names of gods. And then when she got married, her husband followed a different belief system and asked her to use another name, and she was really willing to, because it doesn't matter if you recite Shakti, if you recite Shiva, if you recite Allah, if you recite Jesus. Excuse me. It all comes down to divinity. It all comes down to oneness. So I'm not a believer of any sorts. I'm not a follower of mainly Christianity or mainly Hinduism or Jung psychology. I am just a firm believer is not even it, because when you believe it states that it's something that is not graspable. It goes a bit far to say I'm the embodiment of universal truth, but I feel universal truth in my body. And as to make some messages come across, I use terms that I need to go into duality. The moment these sounds come out of my mouth, it's already a dual, So I use duality like Shakti, Shiva, Christianity, Christ consciousness, individuation of Jung. I use them to get my message across, but it doesn't mean I identify with it, because ultimately all these stories have one common team, and that they referred to the exact universal constant, and that is to me the holy grail, and that is unifying the polarities within ourselves in order to become a whole, balanced, functioning human being. And unfortunately, I see in the spiritual community quite some people who address as a man, who address the divine feminine as something they will meet as a counterpart. So they see the stories of Shakti, Shiva, Isis and Osiris, Zeus and Hera. They see it as dual. They see it as I need to attain something from the outside to come to this alchemical marriage, and that is okay. That is completely fine, but it shows where they are if it comes to their spiritual process. They are not ready to unify the polarities within themselves. It's not for nothing called the alchemical wedding is also called the great work. And I have a strong sense that that you guys know what I'm talking about if it comes to this term, the great work. It is deep periods of death, purification, friction, the heat, and that the heat is the awareness. You know, we gain awareness within the years, and our awareness is burning everything away that is not that is standing in the way of this alchemical process, that is standing in the way of this big integration. And again, you guys, this has nothing to do about adding, because that would mean like, oh, I add some characteristics, character traits from the divine feminine, or I'll add some of characteristic traits of the divine masculine, and I will just puzzle with that. That is not, that is the psychological process, as the mental health in our world is addressing this, like cognitive behavior therapy. You just need to think differently. You need to just lose that way of thinking, and that's the superficial way of spiritual bypassing. This is true alchemy. Even astrology is all about the polarities, being the sun, the divine masculine, the moon, divine feminine, and they cannot be without one another, because the universe will not remain without one another. And we are a microcosmos of the macrocosmos. We cannot remain, and that is sane, without integrating these polarities in our own system to really truly unify them together. And that's the sun is being gold, and the moon is silver. To merge these two materials comes with tremendous heat, tremendous friction. You cannot add them next to each other. That is not what integration, that is not what the holy marriage is about. And I know for myself, I have always been relentless with myself, also with others, if it comes to truth. Within the years, I've gained more compassion, knowing that this alchemical marriage goes along with huge trials and tribulations. It is a deep process that humbled me big time. So I gained more love, to say, in this process, less relentlessness. But either way, you have to have a sort of relentlessness and fire and passion to really want to embody this, because the shadow sides, I want to address that, because there is so much false union going on. I have been part of it in my early years. I still see it when some people address divine feminine and masculine in a sort of way on the internet. I'm not judging. I'm only the reason why I wanted to make this video is to get really to the core of things. I'm all about what nastiness is being shoved under the carpet. Just get it out there, you know. Don't It has nothing to do with shame, with guilt, whatever. It's just the relentless pursuit of the alchemical marriage I'm just addressing. For those who are willing to feel that passion, welcome. People who are really feeling, just log out, or whatever you used to say in internet terms, skip my video. So the shadow sides of false union, the first one, I've been guilty by that too, is codependency. And for me, codependency is not only relying on one emotionally. It has a lot to do with the conviction that as a man, the divine feminine is being sought out there. You know, it's making the man whole, or as a woman, the divine. But it's not about man, woman, because everybody has that trait. I'm gay, so if I have a lot of divine masculine inside of me, I would maybe want to attract a woman who has. I have in previous years of, and I wanted to say previous lives, and that's so true. I have been the masculine energy a lot in my life, so I tend to gravitate more if it comes to codependency, like to women who embrace and embody more of the divine feminine. But ultimately you come into this toxic union because you become, as the word already states, depending on one another. And if that person doesn't give you what you need, and vice versa, there will come friction. So there is no autonomy in that relationship. There is no authenticity. And this is a big one, you guys. You see it so, especially I see it in my parents. I see it in my ancestors, my grandfather, grandmother. The roles were very much like that. You know, I am the male, and I will provide, and I will keep you safe. And the woman should stand in the kitchen and make food and take care of the children, and you know the roles. And we have been fed with a spoon to see the duality, to destroy the wholeness that has always been there. And we are slowly waking up to, and I'm saying slowly, think it's not slow anymore, guys. I think it's pretty out there, especially for the people who are ready to take the leap. This all has to go. All these stories about roles, about identification. And in fact, it's not for nothing that you see lately a lot of children are being born asexual, are not defining themselves as man or woman. Not that they want to have a different sex or something, you know, in a biological form, but energetically they cannot, including myself, energetically I cannot identify merely with the divine feminine, or identify merely with the divine masculine. Both of these traits are in me, and the higher our consciousness, the higher our frequency is becoming, the less we identify with these opposites, the more in the neutral, in the integration we come. And in a spiritual community, there's still so much shame on that, because the man needs to be the man, it needs to make the fire, it needs to, you know, and the woman should be ever receiving and emotionally soft and loving. And you know, it's it's still a play of souls that are not ready to integrate those polarities into their own. Because if we really start addressing divine union outside of ourselves, then that is a whole meeting a whole. That is two separate beings who have alchemized the who have done the great work in themselves, who have integrated divine masculine and divine feminine within themselves. So there will not be a grasping. There will not be, I need this from you and you can get that from me. There will not be this business trade, because that's basically what it is. You take care of the children, you give me sex, woman. Sorry, it's just so primal, and I will be the man who goes out and then hunt the deer. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying that doing certain activities, men are equipped for a certain heavy tasks, but I'm not. What I'm trying to say here is, let go of the identification with it. A woman can also go out and make money. A man can also be emotionally soft and can very deeply love and take care of the kids. That's what I'm referring to here. So first shadow, codependency. That is a big hurdle that a lot of say everyone needs to take when they start realizing there is no peace, there is no freedom in that at all. It's enslavement. The second is spiritual bypassing. I like to talk about this a lot. I made a short about it, I think yesterday or 2 days ago. I know not everybody is happy when I'm really being stingy, but I am like that. I am just who I am. Like it, leave it, whatever. There are, here we go, the transcended beings who claim to be all spirit, and matter is no matter. Don't matter the matter. That is spiritual bypassing, because we need to integrate duality with non-duality. We need to integrate Shakti being duality, being creation, with non-duality, Shiva being the stillness, being the ever-present awareness, non-physically. So does, let's say, the alchemical framework, the Red King and the White Queen. So does the story of Isis and Osiris. So choosing to go with one or the other is spiritual bypassing. I'm not blaming if you feel that that is what you get out of that is what you can receive. It's ultimately it's all about where we are in our spiritual journey. Again, I'm not judging. I have been there too. I come from, as I already said, I have led a lot of male lives in previous lives. I've had, and that's a good one, because I really feel that changed in me. I've had a very strong divine masculine side in me. Therefore, the vertical has in previous lives and the beginning of this life has very much been nourished, being the stillness, being the awareness, meditation. I've led lives in monasteries. I've led lives in Catholicism. I've led lives on as a hermit on a mountain. So for me, verticality is becomes way more natural than duality. So I've had to learn to emotionally regulate, and the first 25 years of my life I was emotions duality, ego, a body, yeah, nothing more than a body sack. It was a way for me to spiritual bypass. And I see still a lot of people doing that. Again, no judgment, but it has everything to do with in what capacity you are ready to receive this deep, 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 deep universal truth. And everybody has their time in it. It is what it is. Bygones. Next is premature integration. That you declare yourself whole before you start the whole freaking process. Those people are also there. They read a few books. They can understand it on the mental, in the mental plane. And if I can understand it in the mental plane, I'm there. Well, I think I don't need to go in that aspect much time. I think you all get what I'm saying. So yeah, there are we have so much denials on this the great work. Again, it's not for nothing stated as the great work because it's relentless. It's taking its truth is penetrating all illusions, all externalizations, all identifications with the non-natural, so to say. It's laying it bare. It's relentless. It really is, and not everybody is ready to give up their illusions of perhaps finding their divine counterpart and becoming whole, or thinking they're only spirit and matter doesn't matter. It's all what it is, and I want to address the Holy Grail. For me, that's all that matters. I've been through all of the shadow sides. I've been through codependency. I've been through thinking spirit is the only thing. And in the very beginning, when I started reading my first spiritual books, I was already thinking upstairs. Yeah, I'm not here pointing fingers at others. I'm just being a humble human being who also have gone through these trials and tribulations. Yeah, the ultimate gift is understanding, a deep understanding that this alchemical marriage is a constant and not a metaphor. That is the gift. And some people might ask, is that all? If you ask that question, then you're clearly not there yet, and that's fine too. The gift of balance, the gift of sovereignty, the gift of mastery, the gift of truly, truly experiencing, because that for me is I'm very, very practical if it comes to spirituality. I'm not woo-woo, although some people think I am, but I am very practical and grounded in my spirituality. And for me, what wholeness means is being at peace with oneself. The highest spiritual attainment for me is being human, because that is so rare. There are so little humans being human. We lost the connection with our human beingness. So the highest attainment is not becoming spirits at all. We will and always be spirits. We were spirit before we incarnated into this body. We will always remain spirit. The whole point of this incarnation is transcendence, is ascension, is true dualism, true separateness, gaining friction and heat as to remember this whole lila. And this is a lifelong process to remain in balance with the how do you say that, a pendulum, because nature is ever moving, it's never stagnant. That is, if you are only spirit, it's stagnant, you stagnate. But if you are also embracing duality, it's ever moving. Shakti is ever moving. So we constantly need to remain sharp by doing our own spiritual practices, meditation, shadow work, therapy if it's needed. But or a good friend who always knows to put the finger on the sore spot. Whatever gives you a reality check to see where am I in this pendulum. Am I swinging in the extremes, or am I still in the middle, in the union? It's an everlasting work. It's an everlasting process. We are never there. Enlightenment isn't a static state of being. Awakening isn't a static state of being. It appears, it disappears, it arises, it goes away. It never really goes away, but it's movement. And when we start addressing too much value to one or the other, we stagnate, because we resist, fight the divine alchemical marriage. Yeah, that's about it, you guys. Really feel relieved making this video, because it has so much. My heart is so deep in this. I'm. This is what my life is about. This is the alchemical marriage is the holy grail to me. So leave you guys with this, and much love.